Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Lueken Dairy Virtual Chat. I am Brittany with the Discover Dairy program, and we are so excited that you are joining us today as we get to meet Farmer Abby and, of course, your adorable adopted calves, Dottie and Kit. First, this live chat is part of the Adopt a Cow program. More than 43,000 teachers and 1.7 million students joined us for the fun for free, thanks to our generous supporters at the American Dairy Association of Indiana and the Dairy Excellence Foundation. If you'd like to join us next year, registration and enrollment will open on May 1st. To join us and re-enroll, you can go to discoverdairy.com/adopt. And again, enrollment can starting May 1st. Next, today's live chat is live. So that chat box is available and open and ready for all of your questions. We're excited to hear from you. I know Farmer Abby is excited to hear from you. And before we actually jump to Farmer Abby, let's see who's joining us today. So hopping over to the chat, one of the first ones that was with us were some homeschoolers from Carmel, Indiana. So hello and good morning, everybody. We've got Mount Carmel Elementary in Cedar Grove. Hello, good morning. Jumping down a little further, we have Mrs. Baville's class in Greenwood. Hello, good morning. Mrs. J's fourth graders. We've got some preschoolers in Alexandria, Indiana. Hello. We have a hand wave from Mrs. Herring's science classroom in Kokomo, Indiana. Hello, everybody. Let's see. We've got Mrs. Fishburne's class. They're excited to see Kit. I am too. And let's see, Miss Bowen's class in Greenwood. And let's do one more here. Some folks from St. Joseph's, Shelbyville, Indiana. So hello all. I know there were many more of you that joined us today. We are so excited to have you. Please feel free to keep using that chat. We'd love to hear your questions. We're going to do an introduction and meet your calves in real time, but then we will get to your questions at the end. So please go ahead, think of anything you want to ask. Farmer Abby is so excited to hear from you. Speaking of Farmer Abby, I am excited to introduce you to her. Hey, Farmer Abby, how are you doing today?
Hey, Brittany, good morning. We are doing wonderful here. Again, my name is Farmer Abby, and we are a third generation dairy farm. My husband and I own and operate the farm. My major role here is to speak with all the students and share our farm with everybody, and along with taking care of our two boys at home. So, hi, Henry. Hi, Jack. I'm pretty sure they're watching right now, too. Henry actually has Kit in the classroom and in his preschool class. So right here in front, there's Kit. So everybody wanting to meet Kit, there she is right
Aw.
there. Dottie's kind of hiding behind her at the moment.
Aw. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. They look like they're getting so big, Farmer Abby.
they
So
are, yes.
tell us a little bit about them and how they're doing now. So I'm pretty sure at our last check-in with them, Dottie was about 450 pounds and 48 inches. So how big do you think Dottie is now?
So I just assume from that last update that we are probably looking at about 49 inches. She's probably grown about an inch since our
Okay.
last update. And then she's just a little more than the 450 at this point, too. There
Okay.
she is. She's
Awesome.
popping her head back. So there's Dottie.
Aw.
She's being a little shy
Hello.
this morning.
Yeah, she's hiding. So Kit is nice and front and center for us. So Kit was a little bit bigger, and you can tell in the video she's definitely a little bit bigger. We had her at 475 pounds and 50 inches. So you're probably thinking she's over 500 pounds at this point. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And maybe
And then again,
51 inches.
51. Yeah. Yep.
Cool. Oh
Yep.
my gosh. So
She
anyone that's
definitely
tracking
has
that.
that. She's showing her she's kind of more the dominant one of the two. So you'll kind of see her try and show that
Aw,
during the
so Kit,
video.
just to be clear, Kit is one that's currently eating. Is that correct for anyone that's
Yes.
watching?
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
And then Dottie is the one, she's got more white on her.
Yes. Awesome. Very cool. Aw. So now tell us a little bit about what are they eating right now?
So right now they're on a grain mixture, but they are on a TMR ration. So it's mostly your corn silage and then hominy and then on a like wet gluten mixture.
Okay, so I know they were eating grain when they were younger, and now you said they switched to TMR. Is that just because, I mean, same thing with us, like with humans, we go from baby food to real food. So is that a similar thing with cows?
Yes, yes, it is. Yes.
Okay, so it's just to help them grow and get more
Yeah.
nutrients and energy. Now, is this where they normally live, or is this a special place for today?
This is a special place. So we actually aren't on our farm. We're actually down in Kentucky at the heifer farm that we send all of our heifers to. They stay down here for approximately 2 years, and then they come back to our farm. But even right now, this isn't where they typically stay. Our Clayton, the farmer down here, he was nice enough to put them in this little area for the video, but most of the time they are actually outside here.
Gotcha. So we're hanging out with them so we can actually get close to them and hang out.
Yes.
But and so you guys partner with another farm. And so it sounds
Mhm.
like does this other farm, they're just really good at raising heifers, right? So you guys
Yes.
partner with them.
Hmm.
You give them the best chance of really great growth. And then when they're ready to have their calf, they come back to you guys. And then they have their calf and join your milking herd.
Yep.
So, right?
Yep.
That's really
That's
cool.
exactly right. Yeah.
How far is this farm from your farm?
So they're about 2 hours south of us.
Okay.
Um,
Cool.
yeah, around Bardstown.
So they get to make a little road trip
Yes.
when they're like 6 months old or so, and then they come on down.
Yep. Yep. They take a little bus trip, is what we like to call it. Yep.
That's cool. I love that. Now, so we've got some great questions coming in, Farmer Abby. So if you want to go ahead and flip your camera, we can get as close as we can to them, and we'll hang out with these cows a little bit here. One of the first questions that came in, really great question from Mick McCann. They're wondering, so there's been a lot of dangerous weather the past week. What do the
Yeah.
cows do when there's bad weather coming? Or what does the farmer do to help with bad weather?
So here they do have access to a barn so they can go inside. And then on our farm, they typically are inside the barns at all time. But what we do is we make sure that our generators are up and running so that we can still provide the care um, that is needed.
Gotcha. So
Yeah.
you guys have backup plans to make sure you still have electricity.
Yes.
And the barns, I'm sure, I know many farms, they will often build their barns like at the highest points. So that way, if there is flooding, the flooding's not going through the barns and things
Correct.
like that. And even if there is, I mean, you guys have there's ways of attempting to drain things, and I mean, there's only so much you can do. But you guys have barns to help protect them from all of that weather. So that sounds right. And then, of course, I think you guys would have learned this you would have learned this in your 4 month update, I believe. But when it's cold, they help them keep warm by adding extra bedding and extra straw and just keeping them nice and comfy and warm in their beds with some extra bedding. So same thing if the weather got bad. Then we would have just added more bedding, changed out their bedding, making sure their feed was fresh, all that kind of thing. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, and also it's good to remember that these cows, they do like the cold. These are bigger animals, so they actually prefer the cold over
Yeah.
the heat of summer.
Yeah. That's a good point. They are not like us, right? They prefer
Yeah.
that 50 degrees or so and they do really great in colder
Oh
weather.
yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Like they're super happy right now with this weather, whereas I am freezing.
Yeah.
So
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I'll be honest, I'm a little comfy in the house right now. So
yeah.
I agree. We had a good question. We had some students that heard you say that, Kit was a little bit more dominant. Can you just explain what that means and like how you can see that between the two?
Yeah. So what Kit is kind of doing, she'll kind of push her head up against Dottie a little bit, just to show her, hey, I won in this space. You're in my space. Move. So even cows are herd animals, and just another easy kind of animal to like dogs will show their dominance as well, right? If one there's an alpha usually
Mhm.
in a dog pack. So we kind of see that with cattle too, is that there's going to be one or two that are just a little bit more strong-headed
Right.
than the others.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely they have they have a hierarchy. They create their own
Mm-hmm.
hierarchy. We can't really discipline them like we can people. They're gonna do their own thing.
Yes.
So yeah, your Kit is demonstrating very well that she knows she's bigger and she knows that she can just be a little bit bossier and she's gonna own the feed bin.
Yep.
She's gonna do her thing.
Yep.
Doesn't mean the other one doesn't get any foods. He just usually waits till the second turn.
Yep. Mm.
Awesome. Um, a good question from second graders with Mrs. Kennedy's class. They were curious how many cows are on your farm? And maybe since we know there's two different farms, do you have any idea how many at one farm versus the other farm and like total altogether?
I think in total altogether, the last number would be 4,000, but on our dairy, we have 1,600.
Okay, so that means on the dairy means there's 1,600 cows that are milking that are going into the milking parlor and producing milk for all of us to enjoy every day. And then the rest of them are what we consider young stock, which would be exactly like what our Kit and Dottie are, and they're all being raised and grown up to be mature milking cows someday. So
Yeah.
awesome. And so just to confirm, the same class, we had asked how do they get from point A to point B, and you had mentioned, you call it busing, but essentially they're put on a cattle trailer. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And
They
cattle
take
trailers are pretty
cattle trailer.
common. Yeah, that's exactly how anyone would transport any animals, and they have a comfy spot in the back of a trailer and drive carefully to the next location, and then they offboard at their new destination. Awesome.
Yep.
We had a question from Ms. Myers. They were curious, where does the milk go? So after the cows are milked, where does that go?
So the milk will go down to Nashville. All of our milk is with DFA, Dairy Farmers of America. So then from there, typically our milk goes straight to fluid milk that you would drink.
Oh,
And on occasions, it has been known to be made for other products, but the
ooh.
majority
So
of it will go to fluid.
yeah, so anytime someone's buying that gallon of milk, it's possible it's coming from your farm. That's cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. I know certain areas of the country focus on different things, right? Like Wisconsin's known for their cheese, and same thing. Pennsylvania is also known for their fluid milk, so Indiana's similar. Oh, we've got a good question from Miss Hunt. They were curious if you had any reason why you named them Dottie and Kit. Was there any
Ooh,
purpose behind that?
well, um, I guess if anybody can answer quickly, does anybody or teachers recognize the names Dottie and Kit and
Oh,
where it might come from? I'll give it just a
interesting.
few seconds.
Yeah. We'll let them think about that for a second. Sometimes it takes a little bit for this
Yeah.
to get to them and them to answer. So any idea where you might know those names from? We'd be curious. Oh, you know what? Giant's third grade class was wondering the same thing. So let's see if anybody else has any ideas. While we wait for those answers, we'll come right back to that. They're
Yeah.
curious to know how big will both Dottie and Kit get to be when they're full grown.
Good question. So on average, or again, I'm using averages. It'll be about 1,100 pounds is
Wow.
typically what our females get to
Yeah.
at a healthy weight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. 1,100 pounds. Oh my gosh. And I think
Yeah.
full grown is about 3 years, right? Like they'll join the milking herd around two, but then they keep growing a little bit. And about 3 years
Yes.
old is when they're a full grown animal.
Correct. Yes.
That's awesome. Let's see. We have a lot of people coming in saying League of Their Own. Is that correct, Farmer
Yes, that
Abby?
is correct. Good job. So, a little history about, where our farm is League of Their Own was actually filmed in Huntingburg, which is a town right next to us, or about is
Oh,
a couple towns over from us in the same county. So knowing our pride for that movie and that it was filmed in the county that we are in, I decided to pick those two names.
That's awesome. What a cool little fun nugget. I love that they got their names after a movie. How fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Last
That.
year's cows, I went with Peanuts, and some of them will remember that was Peppermint Patty and Lucy, which they
Uh,
are still down here for an update on them. They're just on a
oh.
different part of this farm. But yes, they are still down here and they are thriving as
Oh,
well.
that's exciting. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
so. They're coming up on 2 years old. They're probably pregnant and expecting, and hopefully will have their calf sometime in the fall, which is really exciting. And
Yeah.
that'll be exactly what Kit and Dottie will do. They'll live down here, right, for about a year and a
Yep.
half yet, and then
Yep.
eventually they'll have their own calf and then come back up to you.
Yes. Which they'll
Oh,
have on our farm, not down here, but yes.
gotcha. Okay, so they come back up to you pregnant. You guys calve
Mm-hmm.
them in, and then you raise the calves.
Yeah.
Okay,
Look how pretty
awesome.
she's standing for you
She
guys.
is. Now, remind me, I know earlier before we hopped on, there was a chicken running around. Which one was the
There
one that was
was
sniffing around the chicken?
Dottie. Well, and
Dottie.
then this Dottie got a little spooked by it, but then Kit got curious about it. Yeah.
So they were interacting with other animals. I thought it was fun.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, we've got some other really great questions coming in. This one is actually for you, Farmer Abby.
Okay.
We've got from Mrs. Kennedy's second grade class. They were wondering what made you want to raise cows? What inspired you to want to do this?
Oh, well, that's a really great question. I did not grow up on a dairy farm. I actually married into it.
Oh.
So about what year? About 5 years ago, so during COVID, there's a book that came out, and some of you guys, I know I've talked to a lot of you in the classroom, and there was a book that came out called Tales of the Dairy Godmother Chuck's Ice Cream Wish.
Mhm.
And that book came out, and that just inspired me to share a lot more about our farm and about dairy in general. And
That's
whenever I read that book, I read it on Facebook Live, and
awesome.
that then just sparked a lot more interest in getting involved in just the county. And then this opportunity came up for Adopt a Cow, and I have enjoyed this so much the
Oh.
past 2 years. Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. I love how,
Hmm.
you're married into it. So your husband is the one that's managing the farm and doing
Hmm.
most of that. But you were able to find just a very unique way to also be involved and connect with all these amazing kids and
Yes.
teachers. So we really appreciate you doing that and sharing that passion with everybody. Thank you, Farmer Abby. I
Yeah,
appreciate
I
that.
love it. I love it.
Yeah. Awesome. So another question, Miss M's class was wondering, how do they take a bath or do they take a bath?
Oh, that's a good question. So typically, no, they don't take a bath. You'll notice they're still kind of dirty. And
Mhm.
here they'll get a little bit dirtier than what they will on our farm because they do get to go on the pasture. Um, but yeah, they just
Gotcha.
kind of self maintain.
Yeah, you'll see them licking each other and
Yeah.
laying in the grass and in the bedding and stuff will keep them clean. And if it
Yeah.
rains, then they'll get a bath from the rain. But
Yeah.
they
Yep.
don't usually like being in the rain, so they'll go under the barn anyway.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, they're not quite like us where we need to take a bath and maintain. So awesome. A good question from Miss Myrick. They were wondering how many times a day do they eat? Hmm.
Oh, how many times do they eat? Good question.
Yeah.
Um, so they have like free will eating. So their food goes out and then they get or free choice. So they get to eat whenever they want to eat. Hi, Kit. Yes, hello. And the same with water. So right now they're eating approximately 45 pounds of food a day. So they're eating very well right now.
Wow.
Um, and they're consuming approximately 20 gallons of water for
Okay.
their size. But whenever they get fully grown, they'll be eating approximately 120 pounds of food a day
Wow.
and be drinking about 50 gallons of water in a day, which in
Oh
the
my God.
summertime, they'll consume a little bit more water than that. But it looks
Right.
like she found some straw. or some hay right now. Um,
Oh my goodness. So you
yeah.
mentioned in the summertime that they'll drink more water. So that makes sense. We had a question from Miss Tomlinson. They were wondering, how do you help keep them cool when it's really hot? So I guess,
Ooh,
they can
yeah.
help regulate that. But what are other things you guys can do?
That is such a great question. So the other things that we do is they have these big, huge fans in their barns, and we have a lot of them lining the barns. And so the fans help. And then we do have a sprinkler system that we use and we will run. So then they, just like kids and well, adults, we like to use a splash pad or sprinkler system to stay cool. So they get that as well.
Gotcha. Well, that makes sense. My gosh, they've got a splash pad sprinkler system. They've got
Yeah.
fans. Sounds like the best kind of AC possible, just playing around.
Oh yeah. Some days in the summertime, I'd rather be in the barns than out of the barns because it's
Right?
much cooler in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure with all of that and the ventilation system and everything's just kept nice and cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. We had a good question. So we've been dancing around it a little bit. When they get to be about 2 years old, they'll have their calf and then they join the milking herd. Can you explain that milking process a little bit? Like how long does it take? How often? And like about how much will they produce?
Yeah. So it takes, I think, approximately 12 minutes
Mhm.
once they get into the milk parlor
Sure.
and milked. Takes about 12 minutes. And then they will produce approximately 75 to 80 pounds of milk. So just with that, because usually we think of milk in gallons, right? Well,
Mhm.
in order to get the gallons, we need to take those numbers and divide it by 8. So they're
Mhm.
giving approximately 8 gallons of milk a day. They're milked 3 times a day. There are some farms that do uh,
Mhm.
2 times a day, but we do 3 times, and they are
Gotcha.
ready every single time.
Right. So
There
wow.
we
So
go.
and so when you had said like 80 pounds or so a day, that's between the three milkings. It'll be about 80 pounds. Is that
Yes,
correct? Gotcha.
correct. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Let's see. Ooh, we had a good question. Someone was curious if they have any type of treats that you give them at all, or is there anything added to their diet that's like a treat?
Um, yeah. So fun fact, only whenever it is available, we will sometimes get candy. So I would
Oh,
consider that a treat, but that does play into, certain factors that maybe they need just different things from it, whether that be the sugars or something
sure.
else too. But yes, we will get the candy that technically wouldn't be okay for the human market,
Right.
and we can give it to them. And same with cookies too. On occasion, some farms um, may
Hmm.
get cookies too.
That's cool. And so, yeah, just to help explain a little bit, that's essentially it's a byproduct, right? So it
Yes.
might be something that I know, like I live close to Hershey, so if a whole run of Kit Kats goes through and the wrapper just didn't seal right for some reason, well, that won't go into human consumption, but the chocolate's still good. So then it can get shipped to a farm nearby and get added into their feed ration. And so you guys have the same thing. You can get some essentially byproducts, recycling something that we won't eat, that
Yes.
we can't eat, that they
Upcycling.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
upcycling. Exactly.
Yeah. So even with that, we can go back to talking about, what they're eating, the TMR and
Mhm.
upcycling. There's a few other things. I mentioned like the wet corn gluten. That is a byproduct of making like ethanol um, or something
Ah,
like that. So we're feeding that. So we're upcycling, or else, that would just be thrown onto a field and mixed in with dirt, but we're able to use it and feed it to the cows. The other thing would be we feed cottonseed, and the cottonseed, they no longer use it, right? They get all the cotton out to make our clothing and stuff.
mhm.
And that's another way that we are taking a byproduct and we're able to feed it to the cows.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And they can get the nutrition and the energy from it. I mean, their bodies are completely different, right? Their anatomy
Yes.
is completely different. They've got four compartments in their stomach. Their bodies can digest it and break it
Hmm.
down. And now you guys work with someone called a nutritionist to make sure
Yes.
that ration is correct. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. Yes, we get kind of a ration either weekly or bi-weekly to know how much to feed them. So sometimes these girls they're eating better than what I am some days.
Top athletes over there getting the best
Yes.
nutrition.
Yes, definitely.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Oh, we had a good question from Mrs. Kennedy's second graders. This is a great one. So right now, both of these girls look happy and healthy. How do you know if a cow is sick? What are some tells that you can
Oh, I
see
love
to be able to
this.
help them?
Yes, that is fantastic. So, you guys will kind of have to go back in some of the older pictures, but if you see a picture of like their moms and they have this orange looking earring, very cute. Um, that piece has a microchip in it.
Uh-huh.
And the microchip is able to take the average temperature of all the cows. And
Wow.
if their body temperature is running just above that average temperature, then we know, hey, this one's running a fever, may need to go check it out. And that microchip is connected to a system, is a manager system, and that system is connected to our manager at the farm and my husband's cell phone. So
Wow.
they'll get an alert, an app alert saying, hey, we'll just use KITS number 3825
Hmm.
is running hot. You need to go check her out.
Wow.
The other way that we like to talk about it is a cow Fitbit. So it kind of
Oh my
tells
gosh.
us how much the activity they're getting in a day. And the
Hmm.
activity will tell us, are they getting up? Are they moving to go get water? Are they
Hmm.
mingling with their friends? Are they up and moving? Because, as whenever we don't feel good, right? We don't like to really move around. We like to sit on the couch. We like to lay in bed, and the favorite is that students love reading books when they're sick. Did you know that?
Oh, funny you say that.
Yeah. But anyway, so when we don't feel good, we don't like to be up and moving very much either, right? So what that is telling us is, hey, their activity's pretty low. They probably don't feel good either. So it's just another indication of, hey, we probably need to go check them out and make sure that
Yeah.
they're actually doing okay.
That's amazing. Technology at its finest at the dairy and letting you guys manage. I mean, it's a lot of cows, right? You had said 1,600 cows. And so, I mean, you do have eyes on all of them because you're milking them 3 times a day. So they're coming in all the time, but it's
Yeah.
still a lot. So that cow manager lets you literally see every single cow and it'll pinpoint exactly if someone's not feeling well. Then you guys can essentially give it something like an ibuprofen or an Advil if they're not feeling well
Yeah.
and go from there. So
Yeah.
looks like Kit's got a hold of something.
Yeah. She, she is something else right now, that's for sure.
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
yeah.
Wow. There are so many questions, Farmer Abby, that we didn't even get to. You guys are rock stars at these amazing questions. I just want to try and power through like one or two of these. In general, no, they don't really have a sleep schedule, right? They kind of just sleep and eat whenever they want. Like
Yeah, yeah. They are
no one's
living the
telling them to go
life.
to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then their patterns on their hide, they're born with that, right? It's not like it changes as they get older. Pretty much is what it is.
Yep, yeah, they just kind of, get a little bit larger. I have seen some where if they have a little pink spot on their nose, they might grow out of that little
Gotcha.
birthmark. But for the most part, all their markings pretty well stay the same.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I know I've seen like jerseys, and these are Holsteins, right? But jerseys can
Yes.
sometimes change from a light brown to a dark brown just as they get
Hmm.
older or something like that. But yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
And we also had a question. Someone asked, how many babies will they have maybe in a lifetime or a year? And I know they'll have about one a year. Is that correct,
Right.
Farmer Abby?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
They'll have about one a year. So I like to say probably about on average 6 babies.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense because I would say average 7 to 8 years is the average
Yeah.
lifespan for a cow, and it's different for every farm. So if they're having their first calf at 2 years old, that makes sense that they're they're getting to about 8 years old or so. Awesome. My gosh, we've absolutely loved getting to hang out with you and these girls today. What cuties. They've been really just hanging out with us and putting on a little bit of a show for us as we've been seeing them
Yeah.
munch on some hay and stuff. Farmer Abby, thank you so much for joining us today. I wanted to just wrap up with one final question for you and just curious, what's your why? I mean, obviously you mentioned you came into this farm, you married into the business, but what's your family's why for even dairying to begin with? Why do they continue doing it every day?
I'd have to say because it's just a wonderful community to be a part of. Everybody supports everybody in the community. And I mean, this is the most nutritious thing I personally think you could consume. So
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
nice to be a part of something, a community, like I said, like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus, I'm sure your boys love being on the farm, so I'm sure
Oh,
it's a
for
great
sure.
place for them to
Yes.
grow up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
amazing. Farmer Abby, we are going to get ready to wrap up today. I just wanted to give you a chance to share anything else that you wanted to talk about with everybody today.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for that opportunity. We are getting ready for Dairy Day. Again, this is the third annual Dairy Day in Dubois County. It will be at the Dubois County Fairgrounds on June 14th from 10 to 2. So it is a free event.
Okay.
So anyone is welcome to come out from 10 to 2 at the Dubois County Fairgrounds, June 14th. And there'll be a lot of activities, a lot of learning. I will be reading that amazing book a few times, depending on how much they really want me to keep reading it.
Right.
Um, and we actually are teaming up with DFA, with a company through DFA. They're coming down from Michigan, Country Fresh ice cream. So
Ooh.
I'm very excited for that new pairing this year. There'll be a corn pit for the kids to play in. We'll do a kiddie pedal pool as long as weather permitting. There'll be a few food trucks. It's just a really fun event to come out to and to learn a lot more about dairy.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness. June 14th, 10, you said 10 to 2? My goodness,
Yep,
now my
10
brain
to
is okay.
2.
10 to 2 at the Du Bois Fairgrounds. That is an amazing opportunity to come see Farmer Abby and just learn all things dairy. And, of course, summer break. So it's exciting to find something fun to do in the warmth. Farmer Abby, thank you so, so much for doing this with us, for sharing Kit and Dottie with us and your farm and your family. We've absolutely loved getting to follow you guys and just learn all about what a dairy cow does. Clearly, hanging out with them for a half hour, they kind of just hang out and do nothing. They've got an
Yeah,
easy life. they
they do.
they just grow and be healthy, and of course, produce, like you said, that delicious, nutritious milk that is so high in protein and nutrients for us,
Mhm.
so we can have healthy bodies and do all the things we love to do in life. So, thank you so much for sharing your story. You have been a pleasure and an honor having this program again this year. It's been a blast. And thank
Thank
you
you.
all for joining the program again and being part of it. If this was your first year, we hope to have you back. Registration will open on May 1st. So after May 1st, you can re-enroll and jump in and get ready for the next year that will start in October. So thank you all for joining us today, and we will see you next year. Bye, everybody.